can have sex just like men. This right here is the most dangerous lie that feminism has sold to millions of women. Feminism is always aiming for equality for women, and in many ways they have achieved that. They secured the right to vote, to have financial freedom, as well as the right to work. But as the battles have been won and equality has been achieved, the fervor for more equality has blinded them, where even inequalities that are biologically built in now need to be destroyed. This inequality is most apparent when it comes to sex. Sex is not the same for men and women, and it never can be because of the risks attached for each gender. Pregnancy, assault, and even getting killed are all real possibilities because at the end of the day, men are just stronger and more aggressive. And it's really hard to tell whether a man is going to honor you and take care of you because he's a good man versus a man who's just pretending to be a good man in order to have access to you. Previous generations solved this issue by recognizing sex as something very sacred, because it has the power to create life. So they treated a woman's body and trust as inviolate and relegated this union between man and woman to marriage. Why? Because marriage offered a whole bunch of security that a casual encounter just couldn't. There was safety in the contract of marriage. The man was legally bound to his wife as well as to his children and had the societal and financial responsibility for them. This gatekeeping of sex was really effective because it forced men to have to work for that privilege through marriage. They had to prove to be worthy of a woman, to be worthy of someone's daughter. They had to be financially responsible, have a good reputation in their society, and show a willingness to step up to those responsibilities. Now, of course, there were instances of just terrible men pretending to fit the bill, but overall, the system worked really well in protecting women, but more importantly, forcing men to grow up. Now, fast forward to today, where in our society, one of the biggest problems that we're facing is that men seem to be caught up in this perpetual arrested development. Even well into their 40s and 50s, there are these instances of adult toddlers, and cities like San Francisco and New York have turned into Neverland, where people really just don't have to grow up. The combination of dating apps as well as the proliferation of hookup culture has ended that noble act of men courting women and honestly turned sex into a commodity. They have reduced sex down to a meaningless act. The push to have sex like men was aimed to empower women, to help them claim their sexuality and throw off societal expectations. But has it actually helped women? Aimed at freeing women, the sexual revolution has actually freed men to use women, all while telling women to feel empowered by being disposable.
Did feminism go too far when it told women to have sex like men?
Yes, it did go too far, telling women to have sex like men. We are not biologically or emotionally set up like men. We are not able to disentangle emotions with sex. We cannot. We're just different, and that's the reason why we're supposed to be different. We're supposed to bring the rationalization, the logic. We're supposed to bring the patience. We're not supposed to be rushing. If she's telling you that men are naturally aggressive, then they're not supposed to be the leaders of your body. Like, you're literally supposed to make them wait and have some standards for yourself. I'm not coming out here having a bunch of sex with a bunch of different men. I cannot do that. I'm just not built to do that. It's too much for me. Like, I just like having one man, focusing on him and building with him. A slew of men and just casual encounters, I'm not going to do that. Go that way.
I kind of agree with Pearl on that, because most women who are out here having sex at the rate that men is having sex, and I'm not saying women can't have casual sex. I'm not saying it in a healthy manner, but women cannot have sex the way that she's describing it at the same rate that men is having sex. I do think that has ruined society, because the average person does not think mature, like the average person, the way the average person thinks. I don't think that helps society at all. It made it worse. I've seen it just almost in everyday life. Girls will have sex with men and be like, okay, I'm gonna just leave it at this. But eventually she wants more because she feels like she's giving more. That's the energy our body holds, And when you do that, that definitely gives people access to you in a way that's not good. And most women be unhealthy and they be unhealed when doing that. They just take more on. It's not the same thing for women than it is for men.
Go ahead, bro.
You ain't shit. So, no. Mostly just because, oh, okay. Most women who have casual sex are not doing it at the rate of men because we are much more responsible with our bodies. Casual sex for women is not casual sex, is not the same as casual sex for men. For most of the women that do it, there are some that have sex at the rate of men, and it does not work out. So you all would be right in that case. But just because women are not waiting until marriage, just because women are choose to have sex with whoever they have sex with, however little or many it is, does not mean that it is unhealthy for the average woman. Um, because we all know that our bodies work the way our bodies work. And there are a lot of women who can responsibly do it without catching feelings or anything like that, because all women don't catch feelings behind sex. It just doesn't happen like that for a lot of women. I get I get women who it happens to. At my age, I don't have time for the sex don't mean nothing. Sex means something to me. That's why I don't do it casually. So I can take myself out of this situation and understand that there are women that do have sex casually without feelings, and it's just about sex. And it doesn't have to get complicated, and it doesn't have to, they do it responsibly. Like, I want us to decenter ourselves and understand that there is a world where this happens. Um, that's just my opinion. That is my experience. I have worked with women for 20 something years, and so I have a lot of experience with how women conduct themselves in this way. So I know that this happens, and I know that women are not just out here willy-nilly doing stuff at a high rate. There are a lot of professional women that do not have time for relationships, and so sex is sex to them, and it doesn't mean anything except you cool, we clean, and so let's get it. But that's just for me. And I learned a lot about feminism yesterday that tells me that women who look like me just are not a part of this whole promiscuity thing in the way that people think they are. I learned a whole lot yesterday.
And I feel like I get what you're saying. That's why I had made the comment I said. But overall, I feel like saying that is kind of like playing devil's advocate, because the way that it has affected society, it really has women, because a lot of women are trying to be that now. Because although it does empower few women, when women try too hard to embody that, that's when we get the culture that we got today, you know? And they don't really understand the value in themselves and what they're doing. A lot of these younger women, they are assuming like, because I can admit, when I was younger, I didn't feel like I feel being older. The emotions, it wasn't like how it was. We were able to move a certain type of way. But reality is, once you hit them 30s, once you hit them, them late 20s, biology starts kicking in. And that's when you realize, okay, I have to protect myself. So when we talk about like women, I'm thinking of like the women who hit that point, not the ones who are ignorant and aren't able to experience it. And I do feel like sometimes the older you get too, I do feel like some women are like, okay, now I'm understanding what I'm getting myself into. So they can be more, more mature. But just because they adapt to the maturity, don't mean that's what they actually want. Like when I hear people talking, subconsciously, when you listen to their conversations, you can tell what they want. And although they're out here having casual sex, they would rather a marriage, if that makes any sense.
No, So I completely understand that. And let me clear this up because I don't think it was being understood. For me personally, I don't have time for all of that. Like I am looking for something completely different. So I do not do the casual thing because I know that when I'm focused on one person, when I am focused on one thing, I cut everything off. I don't care about nobody else. That's just how I am now. But what I learned, and I will concede to both of your points. I just know that there is another world out there. There's another group of women out there that does not apply to, and that's what I was speaking on. Because I completely agree with the both of you, but I have to say no as well because I want to represent women equally. But now I want to say no, but I have to say yes also, just because of what I learned yesterday. And I was enlightened. I just so happened to have a conversation with my mom about this yesterday. And she basically said what men have always said. Feminism did ruin black women. And this is why. It was, I don't know if you all know that, but there was a law that said if a woman cheated on her husband, he could petition for divorce and take her kids. Feminism stopped that law. It got rid of that law so that white women could go out there and just cheat on their husbands and keep their kids. And so when the divorce happened, they got the kids and then they got what? Child support. So when you say feminism ruined the black woman, they sort of followed suit. And so then, yeah, so it did kind of bleed over into our culture as well. So I do concede to that. I'm not, you know, I'm not oblivious to it. But I speak like this because I want to represent all women, but I also don't want men to get the wrong idea that their talking points are completely right because you have to tell the full story because it didn't start with us. It started with them. The original 304s are white women. I don't know what to tell you. And so they made it okay in society. And so every other woman followed suit.
So why do you want to represent all women instead of just black women? Why would you want to pick up that mantle though? Because they
No,
definitely don't give a shit about your black ass.
I'm not talking about white women. I'm talking about us, but I'm talking about all
You said,
subsets
but
of us.
what when I heard somebody say all women, I'm thinking of every nationality of women.
Oh no. I'm talking about us. I'm just talking about I want to represent all of us well because there are so many different sides of us and so many different types of us. That's what I'm talking about.